Look at you. Right now, looking at this screen, searching for something. But what if I told you, you're not looking for answers? You're looking for permission. Permission to remember what you've always known but were taught to forget. You think you're watching a video about finding yourself. But here's the thing, you were never lost. You were buried, alive, under layers of lies so thick, so convincing, that you forgot you were breathing underneath them. I'm about to tell you something that will either change everything, or nothing at all. And that choice, that's the first clue about who you really are. You ready? Because there's no going back once you see this. You were not born empty. You were not born broken. You were not born needing to be fixed, improved, or upgraded. You were born remembering something so profound, so earth-shattering, that an entire system was built just to make you forget it. What were you remembering? That you are not human having a spiritual experience. You are spirit having a human experience. And that spirit, that's not some feel-good metaphor. That's the most dangerous truth they never wanted you to know. But let me start where it all began to go wrong. Picture this. You're born, not just physically born, but born as pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure creative force. No name, no nationality, no story, no trauma, no limiting beliefs. Just infinite possibility wearing a tiny human suit. You're not crying because you're sad. You're crying because you remember where you came from. And part of you knows this is going to be harder than you thought. But here's what happened next, and this is where it gets dark. The moment you took your first breath, the programming began. Not by accident, by design. A birth certificate, your first lie. A name, your first limitation. A social security number, your first chain. They didn't just document your arrival, they documented your capture. Think about it. Why does a newborn need paperwork? Why does a soul need a system? Because the soul is uncontrollable. The soul is unlimited. The soul is dangerous. So they gave you an identity. And here's the psychological trick. They made you believe that identity was you. But identity is not who you are. Identity is who you were told to be. And there's a massive difference. You think you're discovering yourself. You're not. You're uncovering yourself. You're excavating what was always there but got buried under decades of conditioning, programming, and lies. This isn't self-help. This is self-archaeology. And what you're about to dig up, it's going to shock you. Because the person you think you are, that's not you. That's a character, a role, a mask that became so comfortable, you forgot you were wearing it. Your real self, your actual self, it's never been seen in a mirror. Because mirrors show form. And you are not form. You are the consciousness experiencing the form. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly, completely, authentically yourself? Not performing, not pretending, not playing a role, just being. Can't remember? That's not your fault. That's the point. From the moment you could understand language, you were being programmed, not by evil people with evil intentions, by people who were programmed themselves, generation after generation of sleepwalkers passing down the same spiritual amnesia. Don't be too loud, don't be too quiet, don't be too much, don't be too little. Fit in, stand out, be yourself, but not like that. Contradiction after contradiction, until you had no idea who you actually were anymore. Until you became a walking question mark, constantly seeking approval, validation, and permission to exist. But here's what they never told you about permission. You don't need it. You never needed it. You were born with every permission you'll ever need. The permission to be, the permission to create, the permission to exist exactly as you are. And the fact that you're looking for permission, that's proof of how deep the programming goes. They convinced you that you were born wrong, that you needed to be corrected, that you needed to be taught how to be human. But what if you were born perfect? What if you were born remembering something so vast, so powerful, that it had to be educated out of you? What if childhood wasn't about learning who you are, but forgetting who you are? Think about children. Really think about them. Before the world gets to them, before school trains them, before society breaks them. What do you see? Pure creativity, pure joy, pure presence, pure authenticity. They don't think about being themselves. They just are themselves, effortlessly, naturally, without trying. They talk to invisible friends. They believe in magic. They create entire worlds in their imagination. They ask questions that make adults uncomfortable. They see through lies. They feel everything. They fear nothing. And what does society do? Stop being so imaginative. Stop asking so many questions. Stop being so sensitive. Stop being so wild. Stop being so free. Stop being so you. And slowly, systematically, that wild, free, magical, creative, authentic self gets buried. Not killed, buried, because it can't be killed. It can only be forgotten. And that's what you've been searching for your whole life. Not your purpose, not your passion, not your calling. You've been searching for the child you were before the world told you who to be. But here's the beautiful, terrifying truth. That child, still there, still wild, still free, still magical, still you. Under every layer of conditioning, under every mask of personality, under every story of limitation, under every belief of unworthiness, still there, still breathing, still waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for you to remember. And the moment you remember, everything changes. Not gradually, instantly. Because remembering isn't a process. It's a revelation, a recognition, a coming home. But let me tell you why this remembering is so dangerous. Why an entire system exists to prevent it. Because the moment you remember who you are, you stop being controllable. You stop being manageable. You stop being predictable. You stop being small. And a world built on control needs you to stay small, needs you to stay confused, needs you to stay seeking outside yourself for answers that can only be found inside yourself. Think about it. If you knew, really knew, that you were infinite consciousness temporarily wearing a human costume, would you accept minimum wage? Would you accept toxic relationships? Would you accept a life of quiet desperation? Would you accept being told what to think, what to feel, what to want, what to dream, what to become? Or would you create your own reality? Would you set your own rules? Would you remember that you are not here to fit into someone else's system but to create your own? This is why programming started so early. This is why it was so thorough. This is why it was so effective. But here's what they didn't count on. Here's what they couldn't control. Here's what they couldn't program out of you. The spark, the knowing, the remembering, the part of you that's been whispering the truth your whole life. The part of you that's been saying, this isn't right, this isn't me, there's got to be more than this. That voice, that's not your imagination, that's not your ego, that's not your mental illness, that's your soul, your actual self, your true nature, fighting to be heard above the noise of conditioning. And right now, listening to this, something in you is stirring, something is waking up, something is remembering. You feel it, don't you? That recognition, that resonance, that oh my God, yes, this is what I've been feeling but couldn't put into words. That's not motivation, that's not inspiration, that's recognition. You're recognizing yourself, your real self, the self that exists beyond every story, every identity, every limitation. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you remember, you can't forget. Once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. But here's the challenge. Here's why most people stop here. Here's why most people go back to their comfortable unconsciousness. Because remembering who you are requires forgetting who you thought you were. And that's terrifying, because who you thought you were felt safe, predictable, controllable. But who you actually are, infinite, unlimited, uncontrollable, unprecedented, unknown. And stepping into that unknown, that's the scariest thing a human can do. Because it means leaving behind everything familiar, every story, every identity, every limitation that felt like home. It means dying to who you were to become who you are. And that's not a metaphor, that's a literal death. The death of the false self, the death of the programmed self, the death of the limited self. But here's what's on the other side of that death. Here's what you become when you let go of who you thought you were. You become yourself, your actual self, your unlimited self, your creative self, your powerful self, your free self. You become the person you were before the world told you who to be. You become the consciousness you were before you identified with form. You become the creator you were before you became a consumer. And the moment you remember that, the moment you step into that, the moment you embody that, everything changes. Not just for you, for everyone around you. Because authentic power is contagious. Real freedom is inspiring. True creativity is revolutionary. When you remember who you are, you give others permission to remember who they are. When you live from your authentic self, you show others what's possible. When you break free from the programming, you create a crack in the matrix that others can slip through. This is why your awakening matters. This is why your remembering is important. This is why your freedom is not just personal, but planetary. Because you're not just waking up for yourself. You're waking up for everyone who's still asleep, everyone who's still trapped, everyone who's still forgot, everyone who's still believing the lie. But let me tell you what's going to happen next. Let me tell you what happens when you start to remember. The programming is going to fight back. The conditioning is going to resist. The system is going to try to pull you back into unconsciousness. People are going to call you crazy. They're going to say you're delusional. They're going to say you're having a breakdown. They're going to say you're being unrealistic. And you know what? They're right. You are being unrealistic. Because reality, as it's been sold to you, is not real. It's a collective hallucination, a shared delusion, a mass hypnosis. And waking up from that, that's the most unrealistic thing you can do. That's the most dangerous thing you can do. That's the most powerful thing you can do. Because once you're awake, you can't be controlled. Once you remember, you can't be programmed. Once you're free, you can't be enslaved. And that terrifies the system. That threatens the status quo. That challenges everything. But here's what I want you to understand. Here's what I need you to know. Here's what I'm really telling you. You are not here to fit into their system. You are here to create your own. You are not here to play their game. You are here to change the rules. You are not here to be controlled. You are here to be free. And that freedom, that's not something you earn. That's not something you achieve. That's not something you become. That's something you are. That's something you've always been. That's something you remember, because you were born free. You were born powerful. You were born creative. You were born unlimited. You were born divine. And everything that happened after that, every limitation, every fear, every belief, every story, every identity, that was all added on top. That was all learned. That was all programmed. Which means it can all be unlearned. It can all be deprogrammed. It can all be released. And underneath all of that, your original self, your authentic self, your unlimited self, your free self, your divine self, still there, still breathing, still waiting, still you. But here's what you need to understand about this process. Here's what you need to know about this journey. Here's what you need to prepare for. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be convenient. Because you're not just changing your life. You're changing your entire relationship with reality. You're not just finding yourself. You're creating yourself. You're not just waking up. You're being reborn. And birth is messy. Birth is painful. Birth is chaotic. Birth is beautiful. Birth is necessary. You're about to birth yourself into a new reality. A reality where you're not a victim of circumstances, but a creator of experiences. A reality where you're not limited by the past, but unlimited by the present. A reality where you're not defined by what happened to you, but by what you choose to create. And that creation? That's not something you do. That's something you are. You are not a human being. You are a being human. You are consciousness, experiencing itself through the filter of personality. And that personality, that's not you. That's your costume, your character, your role in this cosmic play. But you are not the role. You are the actor. You are not the character. You are the consciousness playing the character. You are not the costume. You are the being wearing the costume. And the moment you remember that, the moment you step back from the role and recognize yourself as the actor, everything changes. Because now you're not trapped by the limitations of the character. Now you're not defined by the story of the role. Now you're not limited by the costume you're wearing. Now you're free to create any character you want, any story you want, any reality you want. This is your power. This is your freedom. This is your truth. But here's the thing about truth. It's not comfortable. It's not convenient. It's not easy. Truth is disruptive. Truth is challenging. Truth is revolutionary. And the truth I'm sharing with you right now, this is the most disruptive, challenging, revolutionary truth there is. You are not who you think you are. You are not what they told you you were. You are not limited by what you've experienced. You are not defined by what you've done. You are not trapped by what's happened to you. You are infinite consciousness, temporarily focused through the lens of human experience. You are unlimited creative potential, temporarily exploring the realm of limitation. You are divine awareness, temporarily playing the game of forgetting and remembering. And this game, this experience, this journey, it's not happening to you. It's happening through you. It's happening as you. You are not the victim of your story. You are the author of your story. You are not the prisoner of your past. You are the creator of your future. You are not the product of your circumstances. You are the producer of your reality. And the moment you remember that, the moment you own that, the moment you embody that, you stop being at the effect of life and start being the cause of life. You stop reacting to reality and start creating reality. You stop being controlled by external circumstances and start being directed by internal wisdom. You stop seeking validation from others and start validating yourself. This is what awakening really is. This is what remembering actually means. This is what freedom truly looks like. It's not about escaping the world. It's about remembering your power within the world. It's not about transcending the human experience. It's about transforming the human experience. It's not about going somewhere else. It's about being fully here, but from a completely different perspective. The perspective of remembering, the perspective of knowing, the perspective of being. And from that perspective, everything is possible. Everything is available. Everything is accessible, because you are not limited by what you've been told is possible. You are not restricted by what you've been told is realistic. You are not confined by what you've been told is achievable. You are limited only by what you believe is possible. You are restricted only by what you believe is realistic. You are confined only by what you believe is achievable. And those beliefs? Those are not your beliefs. Those are beliefs you inherited, beliefs you absorbed, beliefs you were programmed with. But beliefs can be changed, beliefs can be released, beliefs can be transformed. And the moment you change your beliefs about what's possible, reality changes to match those beliefs. The moment you release your beliefs about what's realistic, reality expands to accommodate that expansion. The moment you transform your beliefs about what's achievable, reality shifts to support that transformation. This is not positive thinking. This is not wishful thinking. This is not magical thinking. This is consumer thinking. This is consciousness thinking. This is creator thinking. Because you are not just a biological machine responding to stimuli. You are not just a chemical computer processing information. You are not just a physical body having experiences. You are consciousness itself, wearing a body, using a mind, playing a human game. And in that game, you are not the pawn. You are not the piece. You are not the player. You are the one who created the game. You are the one who made the rules. You are the one who decided to play. And you can change the rules anytime you want. You can create new games anytime you want. You can decide to stop playing anytime you want. This is your power. This is your freedom. This is your choice. But here's the thing about choice. Real choice requires awareness. Real choice requires consciousness. Real choice requires remembering. And that's what this is all about. That's what this journey is for. That's what this awakening is creating. The awareness to see your choices. The consciousness to make your choices. The remembering to know you have choices. Because you do have choices. You've always had choices. You've just forgotten you have choices. But now you're remembering. Now you're awakening. Now you're seeing. And what you're seeing is this. You are not the victim of your life. You are the creator of your life. You are not the prisoner of your past. You are the author of your future. You are not the product of your circumstances. You are the producer of your reality. And that reality, that's not something that happens to you. That's something you create. That's something you choose. That's something you are. You are not in reality. Reality is in you. You are not experiencing consciousness. You are consciousness experiencing. You are not having a spiritual experience. You are spirit having an experience. And that spirit, that consciousness, that awareness, that's not separate from you. That's not bigger than you. That's not outside of you. That is you. That's what you are. That's who you've always been. You are not human seeking spirit. You are spirit experiencing human. You are not body seeking soul. You are soul wearing body. You are not mind seeking consciousness. You are consciousness using mind. And the moment you remember that, the moment you embody that, the moment you live from that, everything changes. Your relationship to fear changes. Your relationship to limitation changes. Your relationship to possibility changes. Your relationship to yourself changes. Your relationship to reality changes. Because you're no longer operating from the limited perspective of the human personality. You're operating from the unlimited perspective of divine consciousness. And from that perspective, fear is just an illusion. Limitation is just a belief. Impossibility is just a story. Suffering is just a choice. This doesn't mean you become emotionally numb. This doesn't mean you become spiritually bypassed. This doesn't mean you become humanly disconnected. This means you become emotionally free. This means you become spiritually empowered. This means you become humanly authentic. You feel everything fully, but you're not defined by what you feel. You experience everything completely, but you're not limited by what you experience. You engage with everything totally, but you're not imprisoned by what you engage with. You become like water, flowing around obstacles instead of being stopped by them, adapting to containers without being contained by them, powerful enough to carve through stone, gentle enough to nourish life. This is what remembering looks like. This is what awakening feels like. This is what freedom means. And it's available to you right now. Not someday. Not eventually. Not when you're ready. Not when you're worthy. Not when you're perfect. Right now, as you are, where you are, with what you have. You don't need to become anything to be free. You need to remember what you already are. You don't need to achieve anything to be powerful. You need to recognize the power you already have. You don't need to earn anything to be worthy. You need to acknowledge the worth you already possess. You are already free. You are already powerful. You are already worthy. You are already enough. You are already whole. You are already perfect. Not because of what you've done, not because of what you've achieved, not because of what you've become, because of what you are, because of who you've always been, because of what you can never not be. You are consciousness. You are awareness. You are the observer. You are the creator. You are the experiencer. You are the dreamer dreaming the dream. And this dream, this reality, this experience, it's not happening to you. It's happening through you. It's happening as you. You are not the victim of the dream. You are the creator of the dream. You are not the prisoner of the story. You are the author of the story. You are not the product of the experience. You are the producer of the experience. And the moment you remember that, the moment you own that, the moment you embody that, you stop being at the effect of life and start being the cause of life. You stop reacting to what happens and start creating what happens. You stop being controlled by external circumstances and start being directed by internal wisdom. You stop seeking answers outside yourself and start finding answers inside yourself. This is the revolution. This is the awakening. This is the remembering. And it's not just personal. It's not just individual. It's not just about you. It's collective. It's universal. It's about all of us. Because we're all in this together. We're all playing this game together. We're all having this experience together. We're all awakening together. And every person who remembers makes it easier for others to remember. Every person who awakens makes it easier for others to awaken. Every person who frees themselves makes it easier for others to free themselves. This is how the world changes. This is how reality shifts. This is how consciousness evolves. One person at a time. One awakening at a time. One remembering at a time. And you're part of that. You're contributing to that. You're creating that. By remembering who you are, by awakening to your truth, by freeing yourself from limitation, you're not just saving yourself. You're helping to save the world. You're not just healing yourself. You're helping to heal humanity. You're not just liberating yourself. You're helping to liberate consciousness itself. This is your mission. This is your purpose. This is your calling. Not to fit into their system. Not to play their game. Not to follow their rules. But to remember who you are. To embody your truth. To create your reality. And in doing so, to show others what's possible. To inspire others to remember. To give others permission to awaken. This is how the new world is born. This is how the new reality is created. This is how the new consciousness emerges. Through you, through your remembering, through your awakening, through your freedom. So the question is not, can you remember? The question is, will you remember? Will you have the courage to face what you've forgotten? Will you have the strength to release what you've believed? Will you have the wisdom to trust what you've always known? Will you remember who you were before the world told you who to be? Will you reconnect with who you are beyond what you've experienced? Will you return to who you've always been underneath everything you've become? The choice is yours. The power is yours. The freedom is yours. It always has been. It always will be. You just forgot. But now you're remembering. And that remembering, that's not the end of the journey. That's the beginning. Because once you remember who you are, once you awaken to your truth, once you free yourself from limitation, then the real adventure begins. Then the real creation starts. Then the real living happens. You stop surviving and start thriving. You stop existing and start living. You stop reacting and start creating. This is what you came here for. This is what you signed up for. This is what you're here to do. Not to be small, not to be limited, not to be controlled, but to be magnificent, to be unlimited, to be free. This is who you are. This is what you are. This is why you're here. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a miracle. You are a gift. You are a solution looking for a problem to dissolve. You are consciousness in motion. You are awareness in action. You are divinity in expression. You are exactly who you need to be. Exactly when you need to be it. Exactly where you need to be. And the moment you remember that, the moment you embody that, the moment you live from that, everything changes. Everything shifts. Everything transforms. Not just for you, for everyone, for everything, for the entire universe. Because you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe. You are not separate from consciousness. You are consciousness. You are not separate from divinity. You are divinity. And when divinity remembers itself, when consciousness awakens to itself, when the universe recognizes itself, magic happens, miracles occur, reality transforms. And that transformation, that's not something you watch. That's something you create. That's something you embody. You are the transformation. You are the miracle. You are the magic. You always have been. You always will be. You just forgot. But now you're remembering. And that remembering, that's changing everything. If this video cracked open something in you, don't just click subscribe. Make it a ritual. Hit that button, like you're choosing to wake up, like you're done being programmed. This channel isn't for followers, it's for rememberers, for rebels, for creators. One click doesn't just support me, it activates you. Welcome back.